Type 2. This is our slow way of thinking. If we're referring to Daniel Kahneman's Thinking Fast and Slow, this type 2 thinking is the adult in the room. This is the type of thinking that requires cognitive effort, that we really have to think about things. So type 2, cognitive and requires effort. And I want you to think about what type of tasks in your world really needs to take mental effort. And we talked about all the type 1s where we're breezing through life and not really giving it much thought. And sometimes that really helps us, sometimes that hurts us. This is where we dig in and really have to do some thinking. So obviously, if you're in my class, we test on this stuff and we'll have 3 different exams and you better study for it. And if you don't, it'll kind of rear its ugly head in a bad exam score. And that requires effort where you have to sit down, buckle down, and go, okay, I know I've learned this, but let's really make sure we understand everything for this exam. If we've talked about driving a car being type 1, but have you ever driven a car in a foreign country? And that requires effort. I will never forget couple instances, really harrowing, first was driving a stick shift through Amsterdam, where you have here in the United States, in suburbia, Indianapolis, you have cars, different things like that. In Amsterdam, you've got bikes and people and mopeds and cars and one-way streets and congestion and all these different factors, and then you're driving stick shift. That takes a lot of mental effort. I'm glad I survived it. Similarly, also happened to be driving stick shift in Costa Rica in a large rainstorm, getting out of the San Juan airport, trying to drive out of there during traffic of rush hour traffic. All the components to make it very, very stressful. And I was dialed in. I was really using a lot of mental effort to really understand what was going around me just to survive. And so you can see when that type 2 steps in. But now we're going to tie in these two. And I've got some questions here for you. There are 3. And this is our activity. It says a bat and a ball costs $1.10 total. So the bat and the ball is $1.10 total. The bat is $1 greater than the ball. The bat is $1 greater than the ball. And so what I want you to be aware of now with these questions is you're going to have type 1 thinking step in right away. And it's going to give you an immediate answer. And what people will usually do with this one, type 1 steps in, mental shortcut, not much thought, and they'll say, bat is $1 and the ball is 10 cents. Or they could say the bat is $1.10 and the ball is 10 cents. Whichever one you said immediately is wrong, because this equals $1.10, but it's not $1 difference. This is $1 difference, but does not equal $1.10. Type 2 has to step in. Like I said, the adult in the room, say, wait a minute, stop, got to think about this. The ball is 5 cents. The bat is $1.05. Now both work out. Dollar difference, $1.10 total. Question number 2. If it takes 5 machines, 5 minutes to make 5 widgets, 5 machines, 5 minutes, 5 widgets, how long would it take 100 machines to make 100 widgets? 5 machines, 5 minutes, 5 widgets. How long would it take 100 machines to make 100 widgets? Type 1 answer would step in and go, easy 100. I thought this was, and you go, wait a minute, no, that's not true. The type 2 has to step in and say, wait, if it takes 5 machines, 5 minutes to make 5 widgets, it's going to take 100 machines, 5 minutes to make 100 widgets. Type 2, if you stepped in and said, wait, no, there's 100 machines, you can make 100 widgets in 5 minutes. And that is the right answer. Number 3, if you have a lake, there's a patch of lily pads, and every day the patch doubles in size. If it takes 48 days for the patch to cover the entire lake, how long would it take for the patch to cover half of the lake? Doubling in size every day, how long would it take to cover half the lake? Type 1 steps in and goes, simple, 24. Half of the time, half of the lake. But if we think about it, type 2 steps in and goes, wait a minute, if we go backwards, 48 days it's full and it doubles, that means the lake is half full on day 47. All of these examples are showing that type 2 is cognitive effort, has to step in to get the right answer, and it shows, though, our tendency for type 1 to want to raise their hand and blurt out the wrong answer. If there's a tiebreaker in class, just to mess with everybody, some people, if I get them in groups, they'll get through these pretty quickly. But then I ask them this question. What is the sum of all whole numbers between 0 and 100? The sum of all whole numbers between 0 and 100. And so usually we get people, and they realizing that their type 1 at this point is going to fail them. And so we see a lot of different reactions to it. Some people just start getting out a piece of paper and try to just add everything up manually on their own. And then a lot of different ways of trying to conceptualize and think about it. Now, this particular one is different because type 2 is starting to step in and go, I've got this, where sometimes if we take a step back and think of a simple solution, we can actually get to the answer more efficiently. So here, the way I like to think about this is if we have the two ends, 0 and 100, that equals 100. We move in 1, that's 1 and 99, 2 and 98. And we're going to do that, and that's where you go, okay, I'm starting to see a trend now, 100, 100, 100. We're going to take that all the way to how far? And this is where people get a little stuck. But if I start at 0 and 100, I'm going to make it to 49 and 51. And that's going to create 50 100s. So now I'm at 5,000. And we have to go in and say, well, don't forget 50. So the answer here is 5,050. And I didn't really have to kill myself. I did have to think about how it would stack up and where it meets in the middle, but we can actually derive that answer fairly quickly if we sometimes think about it in simpler terms. All right, so hope that didn't mess with you too much. Hope you enjoyed it. That is type 1 and type 2 ways of thinking. When we come back, we're going to talk about representativeness. This is seeing patterns where they don't exist. So let's keep rolling. I'll see you on that next video.